And joining us right now to discuss this and his article is Dr. Thomas Williams, Breitbart Rome Bureau Chief. Good morning to you, Dr. Williams.
Good morning. It's fun to be on your show. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, praise be to God. We're grateful we were able to finally connect with you. So how did the trial go? I've been reading your article here to our audience a little bit, but how is the trial going for Cardinal Zen and the others?
Well, the trial has actually been adjourned temporarily for the strangest reason. Should be normal for us now, I suppose. But COVID, and it's not the cardinal, it is one of the judges in the trial has reportedly come down with COVID, and so they have put off the initiation. This happened Monday, right as it was about to go to trial. They postponed the beginning, so he is still in the dock waiting to be tried.
And okay, so according to your article, these guys are facing life imprisonment for helping. I mean, basically, the 612 Humanitarian Project was basically helping to raise funds to help people with their legal defense. I mean, that's the extent of the 612 Humanitarian Project?
That was it, yes. All they were doing was there were a lot of people that were getting into situations where they needed lawyers, where they needed funds for legal fees and for and keeping their families afloat while they risked prison time or were effectively thrown into prison. And this humanitarian fund was there just to back them up. It did nothing. It didn't actually pay a part in the protests at all. It was simply backing up financially and with also legal advice those who were in the protest movement.
Do you think that they will get a fair trial? I mean, it's still Hong Kong, so it's possible to have a fair trial there or no?
Well, this is the big question because there's a lot hanging in the balance, and it's going to tell us a lot about how deeply Beijing has sunk its fingers into the Hong Kong legal system. It's certainly the new national security law in Hong Kong, which was imposed by Beijing on the territory, allows for a lot of arbitrary, like in this case, arbitrary detainment under these blanket charges of things like collusion with foreign governments, which was initially what Cardinal Zen was brought in for. And so it's going to be a real kind of a test balloon to figure out how serious they are about this. There's a lot of international attention on it. They may choose to back down. I think they already did by dropping his charges to simply those of not having registered this fund instead of the initial charges, which were a lot more serious. They sounded like espionage or even treason. So my guess is, although I'm no prophet, my guess is that this will not be as severe as it could. It would certainly help an awful lot if the Pope were to stand up and get behind Cardinal Zen. We've seen that's not going to be the case, which is very, very unfortunate. But you know, everybody else has. Even the the European Parliament has stepped up. The U.S. government. We've had numerous voices from around the globe saying what a violation this is of human rights and specifically of religious freedom.
Yeah, we're all very disappointed by the fact that the Vatican hasn't given its support over to Cardinal Zen. In fact, according to your article, you even state the Vatican never criticized the arrest, limiting itself to a one-line statement saying, quote, "The Holy See has received the news of Cardinal Zen's arrest with concern, and it's following the evolution of the situation with extreme attention," close quote. I mean, Cardinal Zen was able to go and sit at, inside St. Peter's Square, hoping and praying for an audience with His Holiness and never got one. We all know Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, the carnival actors, they all get audiences with His Holiness, but not Cardinal Zen. Why would the Vatican not give its support to one of their own princes?
I think the real answer, and this sounds very ugly to say it, but I think, honestly, I think Pope Francis has been very offended by Cardinal Zen's very outspoken criticism of his appeasement of China, of the Chinese Communist Party. I think he is not appreciated at all being called out on it by Cardinal Zen, and I think he's getting some comeuppance. I think that's part of it, and I think also his complete unwillingness to criticize China no matter what it does. He notoriously never calling out China for the Uyghur situation in the Xinjiang territory. He just won't do that. He really, really wants to cozy up to China. He really wants there to be a warming of diplomatic relations. I think this has been a dream of his, and he's been willing to sacrifice an awful lot to attain it.
You quoted Cardinal Zen in your article saying, quote, the Pope doesn't know much about China, And he may have some sympathy for the communists because in South America, the communists are good guys. They suffer for social justice, but not the Chinese communists. They are persecutors, close quote, Cardinal Zen. Why, this isn't high school. Cardinal Zen's 90, and Pope Francis isn't far behind. They're adults. They're mature men. One's the Pope and one's a prince of the church. It would seem like we should be able to get past have dialogue, have conversation. I mean, why wouldn't you want to consult a Chinese cardinal about the Chinese situation? Why would you just be offended by it? I mean, if he's saying, hey, there's problems here, why wouldn't he pay attention to that?
Well, the great irony of all this is, and this just happened last week when the Pope was asked on the plane whether this arrest and trial of Cardinal Zen constitutes a violation of religious freedom. And he said, he likes, to talk boldly, and I prefer the path of dialogue. So it's funny that he keeps touting dialogue as the only way forward, and yet he refuses to dialogue with the man who's actually on trial. That has not been lost. That irony has not been lost on a lot of people, that he talks about dialogue, but then in the end, when somebody comes to him, to his very door, and asks for an audience to explain his position, the Pope will not receive him. I think it's tragic. I think the reason Pope Francis did not do that was he didn't want to give him a further platform. He didn't want him to go talking about it, which he would have done. And he also thinks that he knows exactly what Cardinal Zen thinks already, that he's not going to learn anything new by inviting him in to speak. And again, I think it's bad policy. I don't think it was a smart way to do it. It's not good even for his own optics.
Yeah.
This is not going to be good for his legacy when people remember him down the road.
What do you think the chances are that Cardinal Zen will spend the rest of his life in prison? I mean, he's 90. I don't know how many more years he has. Maybe he'll live over 100. I don't know. But what do you think the chances are?
I think they're less than 50%. I'm hopeful that they are going to relent and back down, because I think that if he is thrown in jail, that will just throw an even larger spotlight on that situation. And I don't think they can really afford that kind of negative attention right now, despite the fact that the Vatican obviously does not have the cardinals back. So my guess is that they will back down. They could do it. If they really want to make a show of strength and say we're not messing around here and there are no exceptions, they could go ahead and do that. We know that Xi Jinping is very willing to do very bold things like that, and he's ruthless. So if he doesn't do it, it'll just be a question of his own planning for his future. But I think they would have no qualms about doing it for the sake of doing it. It's just maybe a question of whether the time is right or not.
Do you have a sense of Cardinal Zen's attitude or his spirit right now? How is he feeling in all of this?
So he recently said, I have lost all my battles, but I am at peace. And I think he has a sense of resignation. He is a man of great faith. In fact, when he was threatened with going to jail, this is when he was arrested last May, he said, well, we're all called to martyrdom of some sort. And he really believes that. He is a man who has lived his priesthood and his life as a bishop, as a cardinal, with great integrity and with great deep spirituality. So I think he's where you'd expect him to be. He is accepting this as something which is very difficult, very heavy, but he's ready for it. If the Lord asks him to do this, he is ready to stand up and do it.
Oh, wow. Well, we will be praying for Cardinal Zen, and boy, would we love to see the Vatican make a bigger, stronger, and more active, take an active role in this situation. But we are appreciative of your time, sir, Dr. Thomas Williams, Breitbart Rome Bureau Chief. We're going to link to your article. We'd love to have you back soon. God bless you, and God love you.
God bless you, too. Thank you, Rudy.
All right, that's going to do it for hour number one. If you can join us in the second hour, Dr. Paul Kengor, poli-sci professor, is going to talk about the impact of canceling student debt, corrupting education yet again. We'll have that conversation at the top of the next hour. Otherwise, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Hang out with us online if you can, grnonline.com/CDT. God love you.